Assalamualaikum and hi, we are from Group 5. We are going to present about SDG Goal 11, which is Sustainable Cities and Communities. Our group consists of 6 members and this is our members. The first one is the definition and significance of SDG 11. Extreme poverty in urban areas challenge governments. To achieve SDG 11, Malaysia aims to create safe, sustainable cities by ensuring affordable housing, upgrading slums, investing in public transport, developing green spaces, and promoting inclusive urban planning. This effort support the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, balancing economic growth, social inclusion, and environmental sustainability.
To create a sustainable city and communities, we have 11 targets. Target 11.1, safe and affordable housing. By 2030, we aim to ensure that everyone has access to essential service and decent, safe and affordable housing. This includes modernizing slums and providing housing that satisfies the fundamental requirements like adequate space, stability and protection from environmental hazards. We must make housing affordable for all, especially low-income and vulnerable groups. Target 11.2, Sustainable Transportation. We aim to provide safe, affordable, accessible, and sustainable transportation system for all by 2030. This includes expanding public transportation, improving road safety, and paying special attention to the needs of vulnerable groups such as women, children, people with disability, and older persons. Target 11.3, Inclusive and Sustainable Urbanization. By 2030, we aim to increase the capacity for participative, integrated and sustainable human settlement planning and management. Inclusive urbanization ensures that urban growth benefits all parts of the population, particularly marginalized and vulnerable groups, while promoting social inclusion and environmentally friendly development. Next, Target 11.4, Preserve Natural and Cultural Heritage. Strengthening initiative to preserve and conserve the world's natural and cultural heritage is crucial. This goal focuses on ensuring that cultural and natural assets contributing to community identity, history, and biodiversity are preserved for future generations. Target 11.5, Disaster Risk Reduction. By 2030, we aim to significantly reduce the number of deaths and people affected by disaster, as well as the economic losses they cause. This includes enhancing early warning system, providing disaster education and training, and focusing on protecting poor and vulnerable communities. Target 11.6, Reduce Environmental Impact. We must reduce the negative environmental effect of city by person by 2030. This includes improving air quality and managing municipal waste strategies and involve promoting public transportation to reduce emission and implementing cleaner urban practices. 11.7, Access to green and public spaces. By 2030, everyone should have access to green, safe and accessible public areas. This is especially important for women, children, the elderly and people with disability. Public spaces should be designed to cater to the needs of diverse groups, encouraging social interaction and community building. 11.8, Regional Development Planning. Strengthening national and regional development planning is essential to promote beneficial connection between urban, pre-urban, and rural community. Comprehensive planning framework and enhanced infrastructure can improve connectivity and support balanced development. Target 11.9, Integrated Policy for Sustainable Development. By 2020, we aim to increase the adoption of integrated policy and plans for inclusion, resource efficiency, climate change mitigation and adaptation and disaster resilience. This policy must be inclusive and equitable for all, addressing various aspects of urban development. Target 11.10, Support for least developed countries. We must assist least developed countries in developing sustainable and resilient buildings using local resources. This includes providing financial and technical aid to ensure that these structures are environmentally friendly and resilient to climate change and natural disasters. So next, we will discuss the importance of SDG Goals 11. So the first important, inclusive and sustainable urbanization. Inclusive and sustainable urbanization is crucial. In 2040, 30% of the urban population in the developing region live in slums, with sub-Saharan Africa having the greatest share at 55%. Although this proportion has decreased, over 880 million people worldwide were still living in slums in 2040. Addressing this challenge and strengthening resilience is essential as cities continue to attract individuals seeking better opportunities. Secondly, reducing environmental impact. Reducing the environmental impact of city is vital. Air pollution poses a significant risk to human health, causing an estimated 3.7 million premature deaths globally in 2012. In 2014, over half of the global urban population was exposed to air pollution levels significantly higher than WHO safety threshold. Lastly, preventing urban sprawl is essential for sustainable development. Urban sprawl reside in low density, poorly managed construction, increasing per capita emission of carbon dioxide and hazardous pollution, and driving up housing prices. Smart growth approach can help solve the issue by promoting safe and affordable housing, sustainable transportation system, and access to green and public areas.
Okay, so let's move to the third part, which is the current state of SDG Goals 11 in Malaysia. Over 74% of Malaysia's population resides in urban areas, which are also the site of over 90% of the country's economic activity. According to Murninet's 2021 Urban Sustainability Index of the 127 Malaysian cities examined, almost two-thirds, 68%, are sustainable, while the remaining cities, 33%, are somewhat sustainable. However, Malaysia City's ability to function as strongholds of sustainable development is under threat from a number of climate change related concerns. As the information before, according to the Murin's Urban Sustainability Index, about 68% of Malaysian cities are sustainable, while 33% are moderately sustainable. Cities like Kuala Lumpur, Shah Alam, Subang Jaya, Petaling Jaya, and Alor Gajah are actively localizing the SDGs and reporting their progress to UN Habitat and GTC government. However, challenges remain, particularly in improving public transportation, air quality, and access to green spaces bernama. And then for the second one, technological and community engagement. The integration of mobile technology and high-speed internet to enhance urban management and sustainability is one of the ways that the Malaysian government is promoting the creation of smart cities bernama. Community participation and local solution for sustainable urban development are promoted by initiatives like the Malaysia International Center for Sustainable Cities, MyICSC, and Urbanize Malaysia. Malaysia's sustainable cities and communities are doing well, yet there are still problems to be solved. So this is the urban initiatives, and a number of cities are carrying out particular initiatives to promote sustainability. Large cities like Kuala Lumpur have extended its MRT, LRT, and monorail networks, among other public transportation systems, to assist ease traffic congestion and cut emissions. For this slide, number one, Kuala Lumpur, the KL Climate Action Plan 2050 is being developed to lower carbon emissions, MGTC. And then for the second one, local SDG roadmaps to monitor and report on their progress. Cities like as Malacca, Shah Alam, and Sepang are creating voluntary local reviews and SDG roadmaps to urbanize Malaysia. And then for the third one, Penang, the Penang Bicycle Route Master Plan aims to promote sustainable transport MGTC. And then for the last one, Ipoh, by 2027, Ipoh is expected to transform into a donut economy city by using a sustainable development strategy that integrates social and ecological constraints. This effort seeks to strike a balance between social equality, environmental sustainability, and economic progress. It is led by Mayor Dato' Rumaizi Baharin and involve local authorities and Professor Kate Raworth. The donut model, which has already been put into practice in places like Amsterdam, redefines economic success by fusing human demands with the constraint of the earth. Regarding the sustainable urban development, this endeavor establishes Ipoh as a pioneer in Asia.
There are four main factors contributing in SDG goals in Malaysia, which is urban population, economic disparities, environmental degradation, and climate change. So the first one is urban population. Malaysia has a high urbanization rate with over 78.9% of its population living in urban areas as a residents. Urbanization keeps increasing year by year in Malaysia because people move from rural areas to urban areas. This usually happens because Malaysia is a developing country. in urban areas generally have better infrastructures in terms of transportation, communication, healthcare facilities, educational institutions, and entertainment options. Hence, it's affecting the quality of life and sustainability of cities. Moreover, urban areas often serve as centers of economic activity and employment opportunities. As a result, people from rural areas and small towns move to urban areas, and that's the reason why Malaysian population increase year by year. So the second one is economic disparities. Income inequality affects people to access safe, affordable housing and essential service. Lower income groups may face challenges in accessing formal house market, leading to informal settlements and inadequate living conditions that cannot give them any quality and safe. In terms of healthcare, low income often lacks essential infrastructure such as reliable water supply, sanitation facilities, and paved roads, impacting residents' quality of life and health. Also, economic disparities influence transportation options. Low-income residents may have limited access to affordable and efficient public transportation, leading to reliance on more expensive and polluting modes of transport. The third factor is environmental degradation. Urban expansion development often leads to increased air and water pollution. Source of significant air and water pollution primarily due to industrial activities, transportation emissions, and urban sprawl. Poor air quality contributes to respiratory disease and health issues among residents. Also, biodiversity will also be affected since urban expansion and infrastructure development can lead to habitat loss, fragmentation, and the decline of local biodiversity. This impacts ecosystem within and around the cities. Besides, inadequate waste management practice in urban areas can lead to pollution of soil, water, and air. Improper disposal of solid waste and plastic waste contributes to environmental degradation. Last but not least is climate change. Cities are increasingly vulnerable to climate change impacts such as extreme weather, events like storm, floods, and heat wave. This event will disturb urban infrastructure, housing, and service. Apart from that, climate change also intensifies stress on urban infrastructure, including transportation system, water supply networks, and energy grids. In addition, public health at risk because climate change, because altering the frequency of intensity of extreme weather events and spread the certain pests and disease. For example, malaria and diarrhea.
Existing policies, programs, and initiatives in Malaysia. Sustainable Development Goals SDG 11 aims to make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. Malaysia has implemented various policies, programs, and initiatives to address urban challenges and promote sustainable urban development. This report highlights key government policies and programs and also evaluates their effectiveness in achieving the objective of SDG 11. Here is the government policies and also the programs that they already have. For example, they have national urbanization policies that is provide a framework for sustainable urban development. And also we have Prima Housing Scheme. It is aimed to provide affordable housing for middle income Malaysians. Next, we have Greater Kuala Lumpur or Klang Valley that is focused on improving urban infrastructure and livability. Also, we had Malaysian Smart City Framework that is promote the use of technology and also innovation in urban management. And the last one, we have National Climate Change Policy that is integrates disaster risk reduction and also climate resilience into urban planning.
So here, there's have three effectiveness of measure. First, we have housing, transport, and also environmental management. For housing, the Prima Housing Scheme has improved access to housing for many middle-income Malaysians. However, affordability remains a challenge for some groups, particularly low-income households. There is a need for more inclusive house policies that cater to all income levels. For the transport, significant improvement have been made in Malaysian public transport system, particularly in urban areas. However, coverage and integration of transport networks require further enhancement to ensure accessibility for all urban residents. And the last one, for environmental management, progress has been made in waste management and pollution control in Malaysian urban areas. However, significant challenges remain, such as reducing air pollution and managing urban waste effectively. Ongoing efforts and innovative solutions are needed to address this environmental issue.
So we are diving into conclusion Malaysia journey towards SDG 11, which focuses on making cities and communities inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable.
Malaysia faces challenges like environmental degradation and income inequalities, especially in its urban areas where a large population resides.
The government has implemented policies like the National Urbanisation Policy and initiatives such as the Prima Housing Scheme and Greater KL or Klang Valley Initiative. These aim to improve infrastructure, provide affordable housing, and raise living standards across the country. Despite progress, there are still inequalities in access to services, particularly in rural and disadvantaged urban areas. Addressing this gap requires inclusive policies, sustainable planning, and community involvement. To create sustainable cities, Malaysia is focusing on improving public transportation, preserving green spaces, and strengthening infrastructure.
Moving forward, Malaysia is committed to sustainable urban development, fostering partnership across sectors, embracing technology for better urban management, and promoting resource efficient practice. By prioritizing these efforts, Malaysia not only advances locally but also contributes globally to building resilient cities for future generations.